In order to get a consistent set of imagery for our growing 2A history project, we draw cartoons of Second Amendment advocates. We draw these live during our
Almost at the Firearms Expo.
and sometimes in multi-hour marathon live chats we call 2A Media Workshops. Our goal is to share the skills and techniques and the software that we use to create these and to inspire others to create Second Amendment content. In this series, we'll speed up the drawing of these cartoons so it's almost animated, and we'll focus on the activists and the projects that they represent.
Next up is Mike Piwowarski, who is from Arms Room Radio, and I've seen him around in kind of my first introduction on Riding Shotgun with Charlie episode 104. Mike was on, and it was a pretty interesting episode. He talked about his show and, of course, what led up to the show, and then keeping it a radio show as opposed to just a podcast or something that calls itself a radio show. Pretty interesting. So the biography on Riding Shotgun with Charlie's video here, it says Mike is one of those people who goes to all the 2A events. I can't remember if we met at Gun Rights Policy Conference or SHOT Show, but we run into each other everywhere, which is one of the things I love about my 2A friends. Mike is officially the second passenger to really ride shotgun. He brought with him a Serbu Super Shorty. It's a Mossberg 500 with a pistol grip cut down to be in any other weapon, which he tells me you only need to pay a $5 tax for. Now I see how much better Florida is than Massachusetts. Mike has a long history of family that served in the military and the police force. He continued the family tradition with over 20 years service and active and reserve. He served several years in the Middle East, then came back stateside and pursued a career in law enforcement. When politics got to be too much, it was time to make a life change. He had already working on building ARs for his friends as a side hustle. After a friendly suggestion from an agent, he decided to make it official and opened up the Arms Room, leaving it to hang out and talk guns. Tired of talking about government regulations, a friend told him he could put it on the radio, these discussions on the radio. After a year and a half in selling Mike on the idea of a radio show, Arms Room Radio was born. He's got some partners on the show. Kevin Maxwell is an attorney for legal advice. Earl Boone, the 7th great-grandson of Daniel Boone, and Mike's brother, Major Bill. As with everything, the first shows weren't great. He admits they sounded like infomercials for the gun store, but everyone decided to take it serious and learn some new skills and really made it happen. The show started for 1 hour in the Orlando area. In 6 months, they were at 2 hours and over 6 stations, and 7 years later, they're on at least 25 stations. That doesn't include the stations that pick up the show and don't even let them know. One of the great things about stations putting out the show is that they put out the show. It would be nice if Arms Room Radio crew knew about it so they could send some swag to give to the fans, so they value the feedback they get when they find out where the show is being syndicated. The absolute best story is when Mike was in Afghanistan clearing houses of ISIS terrorists after they decided the house was inhabited by the good guys. They'd given the guns back to the homeowners. He was giving them the ability to protect themselves from tyranny, and he knew it was like in April of 1775. So then Charlie goes on to have a couple of favorite quotes from the show. If you're building them, you should have a manufacturer's license. That little hobby turned into the Arms Room. And then he says he watched Florida go from one of the top gun states to middle of the pack. And he has a couple other quotes there on Charlie's site. His website is armsroomradio.com. They're on Facebook, of course, and I mentioned on the other platforms as well. So with that, we'll end this one. And if you're familiar with Mike, let us know. If you listen to the show, leave some comments. Back to pick you up later.
So let us know what you think. We'll be watching the comments wherever you find the video, over on gunstreamer.com or on guntube.org.
Thank you for supporting our projects. If you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee, check out our Patreon channel.
The guys and gals of gunwebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thank you for watching gunwebsites.com.